Greetings, and welcome to the Bowling Green First United Methodist Church. We hope you enjoy what you're about to see, and you can find us at the corner of Broadway and Church Streets at 11 o'clock on Sunday mornings. Or you can find us online at bgmethodist.org and on Facebook at Bowling Green First United Methodist Church. This message starts a new series where we're telling fish stories. In this series, we're following three words: seeking, feeding, and growing. This first message, we see God seeking after Samuel and Jesus calling his first disciples. So cast out your line and see what bites onto your hook.
So over the next few weeks of this summer, we're going to be telling fish stories. And so this Sunday, we're gone fishing, and we're going to go look at different fish stories in the gospel, and we're going to be following these kind of three words: seeking, feeding, and growing. And these are words that describe us as we come to faith and we grow in our faith, but also describes the ways that we can help others grow in their faith. So we're going to see kind of both sides of that as we go over the next few weeks. Now this morning, though, we're starting with just going fishing. Now when I think of fishing, I think of summer, and I think after this last week, we can officially say that summer is here. When my glasses fogged up when I walked into the building this morning, or anything to go by, that means summer is here. We've got high humidity, and the air conditioning just causes everything to go a little bit crazy. Now when I think of summer and I think of fishing, though, there is something that I think of. Now, can't you just see Obi making his way down along the road with a fishing pole on his shoulder, getting ready to go and find a fishing pole? This is what I think of when I think of fishing in the summer. Now, we got a little bit more on there. You all are lucky. I actually whistled this at Oak Grove this morning, and they do a much better job of it than I do. So I'll finish up here in just a second. I forgot how long I took that on there for this morning. There we go. Oh, it went all, it was going all the way through. Well, as we look at it, if you're going to go fishing, you've got to have a place to go. You've got to have a place where you can drop your line into the water. Now, that's not a bad place to go. Now, if I'm going to go drop my line in the water someplace to go fishing, because of my skills as a fisherman, wherever I go needs to be an overstocked pond. Because I'm the guy who goes in, I can literally drop my line in on top of a school of fish. They all just decide they're going to swim around my hook, and they point their fins up at me and they laugh. Because that's how good I am at fishing. I just can't catch anything. But we first got to find a place to go that is suited for us. For some like me, that's an overstocked pond. For some folks, it's a little bit different than that. But we got to find that place to go. And that's what we see John the Baptist doing this morning. We kind of get before we really pick our gospel reading up this morning, we have John the Baptist story. And it said that John goes to prepare the way. That is his job. He has gone to prepare the way. What John is doing is he is getting us to the fishing hole. He is getting folks around ready for the fishermen to get there and to drop his line in. He's making things ready. That's what John is doing, so that when Jesus comes up, he is ready. He can start casting his line out and catching people. That he can cast his line out and begin to catch fish. That's what John was doing. Now Jesus makes this look easy. Jesus gets started in there, and he goes up and he talks to a few folks, and they just immediately they drop everything and they go and they follow him. Now I would love to be that kind of fisherman. I'm not. And sometimes we have to be careful though, because we think, well, these fishermen have kind of got really a hard life. They're kind of lowly. Maybe they aren't. The thought maybe goes that, well, whatever life Jesus is going to call them to is going to be much better than anything they would have had as a fisherman. And so they go and they follow. That's where we got to kind of watch what it is we know of these first disciples. One of my favorite shows when I still had cable was actually a fishing show. But if you recognize that boat, you know where that's from. That's from the TV show Deadliest Catch on the Discovery Channel. These are the guys who go crab fishing up in the Bering Sea. up in Alaska, one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. These guys go and fishing that stuff. You see these guys, all these guys who are on any of the boats that are on that show, you might describe them as being rednecks. This particular boat, if you can't read the name on it, is called the Time Bandit, and the guys that are on this boat are the redneckiest of the rednecks. I'm not sure if that's a word, but I made it up, and so I'm going to call it a word now. They're rough around the edges. They are, they live hard. I mean, these are kind of rough guys. These would be kind of like the guys that Jesus was going after when he stops and sees Simon and Andrew, Simon who would become Peter, and James and John, and calls them to follow him, and even the guys that are on this boat. Now, there are two guys who captain this boat. They're brothers. Sounds familiar with James and John and Simon and Andrew. And this is where we've got to watch what we do. They may seem like maybe they are kind of the lowliest of the low, but they own their boats. Simon and Andrew did. James and John with their father owned their own boat. The two guys who captained this boat owned their boat. If you own your own boat and you are fishing like this, you are doing fairly well. It is hard work. It is dangerous work, but you're doing fairly well. You are able to provide a pretty good life for you and for your family. Through the work that you do, you're able to provide a good life. So when Simon and Andrew and James and John drop what they have and they go to follow Jesus, they were making a big commitment, a huge commitment to go and do this. This wasn't just something where they went, well, I'm not doing very well as a fisherman, I'll go and follow Jesus now. It was, here's this great business that I have, I'm going to set this off to the side, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to follow. Now, we read that it happened very quickly. This is what happens when you read stories out of books. What it really takes maybe a little bit longer time, we condensed down to, we condensed all we read down this morning down to about 7 verses. Jesus had probably worked on them a little bit more than what we read, but they still followed very quickly. Now, they didn't give up fishing all the way. They still had their boats. They still would go out and fish. That was probably how they helped support Jesus' ministry. And when we read about Jesus walking on water, they had to be in somebody's boat. And if you've got some folks that are fishermen, you're probably in their boat doing that. But they went and they followed. Now this is this is one part of this. Jesus knew where he was going. And because John the Baptist prepared, the way he goes in, he casts his line out, and he catches his fish. Now we all aren't Jesus. We all aren't going to be that good at it. But we all have a place where we can go and we can cast our line to go and fish. Now some of us may be sitting on a dock in a pond somewhere, casting our line out. Some folks may like to do that from off the shore somewhere, or some folks in a boat. Other folks like to go fishing like Crocodile Dundee goes fishing. If you remember that part of the movie where he fishes with a stick of dynamite, that's a whole lot easier way to fish. You just slide it, you toss it in, and wait for it to go boom, and then just pull the fish into your boat. That's my kind of fishing if it weren't illegal. That's what he does. And other folks, their idea of fishing is walking down the frozen food aisle at Walmart. You get down there and search the infamous rectangular fish that come pre-breaded, and you bake it about 375 degrees for 20 minutes. That's if my dad were into fish sticks, that would be the way he would go fish, would be down the frozen food aisle. Each of us have a different place where we are good at fishing, where we're good at doing that. And it doesn't have to be the same place. And that's okay. That's good because we're all different people, and we're all maybe fishing after different people. That's fine. And that's good. Now that's one side. That's, the casting out of a line. Now the other side of this, though, is that there's got to be something on the other end to catch. Now sometimes it's an easy catch, like Jesus with the disciples. Sometimes it takes a little bit more work to pull that fish in. You ever heard some of those fish stories that folks will tell? They say, it took me hours. I hooked that fish and I had him and I kind of reeled him in. I let the line out a little bit and I'd reel him in. And he had to wear himself out. I wore myself out walking up and down the bank of that pond I was on just to get that fish in. Sometimes it takes a little bit more work. And that's where we pick up Samuel's story for this morning. Was it took a little bit more work to get Samuel. Samuel, who was living in the temple with Eli, who was learning from Eli. Samuel, who had basically kind of been given to the temple, his mother Hannah had told God, say, God, if you give me a son, I will dedicate him to your service and he will be raised in the temple. Hannah, in effect, what she did was she sent Samuel off to boarding school to go and learn and grow up inside of the temple. Now, here's where we can tell that Samuel is still kind of new at this, because Samuel is not the smartest fish in the sea. Because Samuel is there in the temple, and things are going well, and they're all down for the night. And God calls out to Samuel. God casts his line out, and that hook comes down. Now, if you fish like I do, that means you probably end up casting your line out to the trees that are down along the bank quite a bit. And you've always got that kind of that other stick or twig or whatever that's sitting there in the water. Samuel sees that line come in, and rather than grab for the hook, he grabs for that twig that's hanging out over the side. And he goes back in to see Eli and says, Eli, what do you want? Eli responds back to him and says, dude. Because Eli said, dude. He goes, dude, I didn't call you. Go back to sleep. So Samuel goes back to his room, and he goes back to sleep. And God casts his line out a second time. And the hook drops down, and Samuel does what Samuel's going to do. And rather than grab the hook, he grabs that twig again. He walks back into Eli and says, you called me. What's up? And Eli says, dude, I didn't call you. Go back to sleep. Samuel goes back to sleep. A third time, God casts his line out, and Samuel is standing, sees the hook come down there. He grabs after that twig again. He goes back in to see Eli and says, what do you want? You keep calling me. Eli at this point has it figured out. He's awake enough at this point. He's been woken up enough times. He's not going back to sleep anymore. He's awake. He knows what's going on. He says, all right, here's what you do. I'm not the one that's calling you. But here, let me give you the words to say the next time you think I'm calling you. And this is what you need to say. Don't get up and come wake me up. I'm going to try and get back to sleep at this point. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm going to try. And here's how you need to respond. And so Samuel goes back. He goes back to bed, and God casts his line out a fourth time. And rather than get up and go by Eli this time, Samuel grabs on to that hook. And responds back, he says, speak, Lord, your servant is listening. And thus begins Samuel's call. God called him, Samuel responded, and Samuel would go on to be the greatest of the judges that Israel had, and would become the judge and the prophet who would then anoint first Saul and then David as kings over Israel. Because Samuel finally got onto the right hook. But it took some work and it took some time. As we go about doing this work, whether we are the ones who are casting the line out, trying to reach other folks, or we're the ones trying to decide, do I grab onto the hook or do I grab onto the twig that's over there next to it, what we do, there's some things we need to know as we come into this. And the first one of those is that it takes the right place. You aren't going to catch whitemouth bass in the Atlantic Ocean. They aren't saltwater fish. That's just, you can't go fish out there for me, or it's not going to happen. You got to be in the right place. For me, that means I'm going probably to the meat section at Walmart to get my fish, because I would starve if I were relying on me trying to catch my own food. Wherever you are, you need to be in the right place to catch those fish, to do the work that you are called to do. Second part of it is that it's going to be repeated. It's going to take time. Even with the disciples, Jesus probably went back with them a few times before they responded. But especially with Samuel, and especially with the rest of us, it takes time, and it's going to take multiple casting to get before anything catches. And I just said it takes time. It's repeated, it takes time. And the last part of it is, this is only the start. You don't just go fishing one time and call yourself an expert. You've got to go back multiple times. You've got to do this a lot. It is only the beginning of the journey that we're on. Remember those three words that we started with: seeking, feeding, and growing. This is only the first part. This is only the seeking part. Whether we're the ones doing the seeking, trying to find where God is, and trying to grab onto that hook that He's tossed down there for us, or whether we're the ones who are casting that line out, trying to reach others, this is only the start of where we're going. And so when we go to this next week, I'm going to tell you to go and do something that I've had many church members over the years wish I would tell them to go and do, which is this week I want you to go fishing. And in the process of that, figure out, are you the one who is casting the line out, or are you the one that's trying to figure out, do I grab onto the hook or do I grab onto something else? Take that chance and take that time to figure out where you are in the midst of this. Figure out, am I in the right place to begin starting this work? But go out this week and go fishing and see where God is calling you and see where God is wanting you to be in the middle of all